A wall plate access point has a beauty of its own. It is elegant if seen, otherwise easy to hide, and it can completely eliminate any visible cable while also providing a Wi-Fi connection. And that's without the need of a power socket, just an Ethernet cable inside the wall. Of course there is more, and in the case of the EnGenius ECW515, you can power up another PoE device, and there are 4 Ethernet gigabit ports for other client devices. I know, it defeats the no cable purpose, but nothing beats a cabled Ethernet connection. Then again, this is not the focus of this review since I am going to test the Wi-Fi connection and see if it's worth buying. As a quick note, this is a Wi-Fi 7 access point, but not because it has support for the 6 GHz radio band. It doesn't. As you may have guessed, it is because of the multilink operation. After I took it out of the box, I got to see that the device felt solid despite the plastic top, and in fair part due to the metallic bottom. And yes, that's where you are going to find the 2.5 gigabit LAN, PoE and uplink port. The option to power the device up using a regular power cord still remains, and the power port can be found on the bottom side, along with the 4 gigabit ports from which one of them is a pass-through limited to a maximum of 7 watts. Still, it's very important to be aware that if you want to rely on the PoE in port to power up the EnGenius ECW515, then the PoE out gets disabled, so that's a bummer. On its side you can see the reset button, and there are some curious holes all around. They are for the metallic plate that is included inside the box, and it's quite versatile. On the next step I had to check the thermal management. So I used a small thermal camera module to check the actual temperature while I was running the speed tests. So these values are when the access point is trained to the maximum, not how it will typically run. I anticipated that there will be a bit of heat built up near the ports, which is expected, and also on the metallic plate and the PoE port. It didn't seem to cause any CPU limitations, so no need to worry about that. Just make sure to keep the device in the open. Now let's see what's inside the EnGenius access point. Despite the fairly contained price of the device, we still get a metallic back plate, which does help a lot with the heat dissipation. But what I didn't like was these 2 screws. Was it necessary to go floral? I'd say no. In any case, after opening the plastic front plate, we can see the antennas and the connectors are not soldered, which is great. After that, we can immediately identify the PoE IC controller on one side, and then on the other side, after removing the small PCB for the 2.5 gigabit PoE port, which houses another PoE controller, we can finally see the main components. Okay, now let's check out the Wi-Fi test results. I started with the single client tests, as usual, and this is far from ideal. So I thought that there may be an issue with the MediaTek Phi. Apparently not, it was the antennas that got overwhelmed, so don't keep this router that close to the client devices. Still, I do have to mention that while running my single client tests far away from the access point, I had to restart the device regularly to be able to run the test again. As I feared, this matches a bug that was supposed to be fixed in the 2025 firmware for the chipset, but I seem to have still encountered it. I assume you will not notice it unless you go through sustained 600 plus megabits per second traffic for at least several good minutes, but it still does remain an issue. As per usual, I included both upstream and downstream graphics and some comparison tables with other access points. I have also run some multi-client stress tests to check the latency, but the results will not be added here due to the time and budget constraints, to say it elegantly. But I will mention that I am working on a tool that will allow you to upload the floor plan of your home and see how this model or other devices will perform in your house, so do stay tuned. That being said, while running the usual 2.4 GHz single client tests, things weren't very smooth. I have experienced a worse behavior on this, considering that I had to do a few hard reboots to get the access point to allow me to run the basic single client test. The MediaTek MT7987 needs patching now. On a merrier note, I included a comparison table with other wireless access points once again. The main reason why the EnGenius Cloud7 wall plate ECW515 is even considered a Wi-Fi 7 access point is because it supports multi-link operation and it is quite easy to set it up from the cloud. I managed to do it in a few seconds. From configure SSID, I chose network and enabled multi-link operation. Despite the 3 radio bands written there, only the 5 GHz and the 2.4 GHz radio bands can be aggregated. And I only ran the test relying on the 80 MHz channel on the 5 GHz radio, as that's how most of you will run it anyway. And as you can see, closer to the access point, it's really not that impressive, like no improvement at all. But wait up! Check the throughput at the farthest point from the access point. This is far better, so the multi-link operation improves the coverage by quite a lot. Now let's check the software experience, and we'll start with the standalone mode. For the cloud-based EnGenius access points, the standalone mode is usually not even bare bones. They're more like, here's a basic set of information and a very scarce amount of settings. And on the ECW515 it's a bit worse than that. The interface is very slow and crashes a lot, so I couldn't even enable the radios or pretty much do anything. Tried it on a couple of browsers and the same behavior persisted. So if the cloud is ever down or out, well, good luck. As for the cloud, well, the EnGenius Cloud platform remains intuitive and simple to use. The dashboard gives some general status info about all the networking devices added to this specific network, and doing so will show some status info specific to this wireless access point, but you can also change the SSID and the radio settings from here. Naturally, after adopting a new device, it will receive the general settings set up under configure, but here you can change them manually to fit this specific device. Next, this is the general SSID area where you can enable the multi-link operation if you want, change the security and much more than that. One interesting feature is the diagnostic, which in its basic form is a bit limited, as you can see, but if it has been unlocked to Pro, it does allow a sysadmin to properly investigate both the EnGenius device and the client behavior remotely with ease. Okay, that being said, should you invest in the EnGenius ECW515 wall-plate access point? It depends. If you have lots of 6 GHz client devices and will rely solely on Wi-Fi for the connection, then no. But that's not really the case for a lot of people, since Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5 devices continue to be the most common, and the option to connect a gaming device via cable remains highly appreciated. The PoE pass-through would have been better if the ECW515 could handle it while PoE powered. Not that I'm complaining with the current approach either. Still, I have uncovered some potential chipset bugs, which you probably won't even notice, but I do expect EnGenius to quickly patch them up regardless. That's all for now. See you in another 6 months, probably.